Just give it a second and it'll be good.
All right.
Oh. That was a lot, but there was a lot to.
And then I took 2 of those.
Oh, this is more like it.
We're good. It's not as
All right. Now we're gonna open it up to our student reps, please. Who always do such a phenomenal job.
The raging crowd isn't here anymore, so Jet won't be nervous.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Here's our January board report. So for our sports, we have wrestling. Jared Grohovec
Tasia,
made.
can we put the video
Yep.
on there?
Jared Grohovec hit his 100 wins, which is a very exciting thing, but he is slowly recovering from a rib injury that he sustained. And the wrestling team is struggling to fill weight, so they're not winning any meets yet this year, but you know, there's still time left. Girls basketball lost to Osceola and Prescott last week, and they're 4-11, but improving as the season goes on. Girls soccer recently started a winter league. They have 40 girls on their team, so that's a new and exciting thing. And the new Spanish teacher, Miss Amigo, is the coach. So a lot of new changes. Boys hockey is 7-11-2. They're racking up wins like crazy lately, and cheer placed 6th this weekend.
Yay!
And dance team is headed off to state, so that's big and exciting. They place first place in kick and 3rd place in hip hop, so they're really, really excited. It's kind of what they were hoping for and expecting. And Bethany Mangine made all state in her solo performance, so she's really excited about that.
So our robotics team recently had a meet at the high school, a home one, and are looking a little worse than they have been doing, but are slowly getting better. And Isaac Newhouse's team is looking at a guaranteed spot at state.
Wonderful.
The spring play, You Can't Take It With You, is going very well. They've had a couple practices so far, and from what everyone's been telling me is that it's a really heartfelt story about 2 families coming together, and it's really funny. So you have to make your way there and see it.
So for semester 2, we had a resolution day in the afternoon last Thursday, I believe, the 17th, and it was good. The first half of the day we did the ACT stuff, and then we talked about any conflicts they had and had that solved. But we're looking pretty good after the first semester.
Yep, it went a lot smoother than it did first semester, so working out the kinks, and it can only get better next time. The fishing team on January 9th, they set off to Bone Lake for a tournament, and the next time the team will be seen as a state fishing competition in La Crosse. So they'll be fishing on the Mississippi, and Mr. Anderson is really excited about that. They also made their way to Bass Lake to make some cribs, so they've been busy.
So for the district honors band, a select few students here were able to travel and experience this wonderful event that you see there.
And some other things, we had SHS Way Day, which allowed our students to be rewarded for good attendance, good grades, and overall work in the classroom and outside of the classroom. And that went on without a hitch this year. And this also allowed students to spend one-on-one time with teachers back at school. And we had a really good turnout of students who did come into school that day and get their work done for semester 1. So it was an overall great experience.
So that Thursday morning on the 17th I was talking about, all the juniors did a practice ACT as if it were the actual ACT day. So that was about 4 hours, I believe, and yeah, it went great. And then the following Monday on the 21st, there was an in-class, or an in-service day on that Monday, and a couple students, juniors, went in and took a class to get them ready for it. And we're looking at a goal for 21 as our cumulative score for the juniors. And then also, we just redid the weight room down at the high school, and it's got us more space for doing agility stuff and stretching, and Mr. Larson also got us some new workouts rather than just the casual everyday lifts.
Thanks.
It's looking good. I think that's it.
Wonderful, John. When is that spring play? Do you know the weekend that is?
I'm not sure.
March 8th, 9th, and 10th.
March 8th, 9th, and 10th?
Hunter, will you include girls hockey in that one, please?
Oh yeah, I had it in the. We kind of did this last minute. We didn't have school today, so we didn't have people to talk to. So
How
sorry
they
about
doing?
that.
Do you know?
Yeah, they're doing well.
They're doing really well.
Doing really well.
well. And they won a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, tell us. They're
well, and
doing.
they won a big tournament over in the cities over Christmas, and, yeah.
Yeah, their overall record is 13-4-1. So they're looking really
Wow,
good with
that's
this.
phenomenal.
Yeah, with this new class of freshmen girls, they're really good.
And they have enough kids, they have a JV team too, it's not just,
So it's
yeah,
bigger.
and we have a big feeder program coming, there's a lot of girls coming.
Yay. Woo. Tell them our congratulations. That's wonderful. All right, so thank you guys very much. Job well done once again. On to our superintendent's report.
Okay, I got quite a few things here that I want to run through here, but a couple quick ones here. Our enrollment, we're up 7, but we are, from this time last year, down 46, just as a note. There's a change in some of our policies, probably about 8 or 9 policies where the compliance officer names have been changed from, updated from, it was Shannon and John before, now it's to Abby and Trent, and that doesn't need to be approved by the board, it's just letting you know that the compliance officer names have changed. And the reason that those two are in that is you need someone that's kind of neutral throughout the buildings and what have you, so. Let's see.
You said that's Trent and Abby now?
Yeah, Trent and Abby now. And all those, and we can send out all those policies, the numbers and that, but there's probably about 10 of them there. Let's see, let's talk about the weather. Calling off school is never easy because, there's so many things to consider and every district's a little different. Weather can vary from 20, 30 miles away. It depends if you're rural, suburban, or metro. We're affected by what happens in the metro area also. A lot of times, if the buses can run, we'll run school, but that's a consideration also. Can the bus drivers even get in? A good example, yesterday, I spent, from about 3 o'clock on, between texting and emailing the middle border superintendents, because it was one of those days where you kind of wonder, nothing's happening. We didn't even get any snow until 6, 7 o'clock at night. And sometimes it's easy to make the call the night before, which everyone would love, but there's a lot of impact to the system if you make a mistake. Everyone's calendars are different too. Some calendars have more days built in. We're at a point where we have, I think, 1 full day and we can do a couple of late starts. So we have to be careful how we do that. And again, remembering that student and staff safety is number 1. We just can't take those chances. If you have wind, frigid temperatures, and snow, it's a no-brainer. But if you miss one of those things, if you don't have it, then it's really a guessing game on what's going to happen to your area. But we always try and get together, the superintendents, and like today, we're on the emailing and texting all day today with the projection models that I've sent out to you. I hope you've had a chance to look at those. And I don't know, Hunter, what do you think?
Well, I honestly think that we need tomorrow and Wednesday off, but I think we should think about Thursday.
I would agree with you.
Very scientific.
Yeah. Actually, we decided around 4 o'clock today that we're not going to have school tomorrow or Wednesday. And I would guess, and we'll wait, but I would guess with the projection models that are out there, we're not going to have school Thursday either. This is something that's just unprecedented. And I will send updated models as we get them. National Weather Service has been very good. They're very accurate. And so, again, we're looking at temperatures of 20, 25 below and wind chills of anywhere from 35 to 55 below over the next few days. We just can't take a chance. We've been talking, principal-wise and what have you, is how can we get creative with some of these days as far as teacher and student days. We're only in January. We've got a couple of months of tricky weather going, so we'll have to get creative. Otherwise, we're going to be here till the 4th of July, and we don't want to do that. So as of tonight, we'll put out tonight that will be shut down tomorrow and Wednesday for sure. And then we'll see what happens, you know, with the projection models for Thursday.
And does, and so that includes, childcare at the.
When we shut down everything. It'd be nice if somehow we could offer that, but you know, again, how do we get somebody to come and work that? It's just, I guess I've never been in a system where if you shut down school, you operate certain things. And I don't know what it's been here in the past, have we run SAC?
We've always shut it down. We'd have, a lot of the people that work out there come in the morning, go to their job and come back at night. So you wouldn't have anybody to staff it from 6 or 7 in the morning until 6 or 7 at night.
And I just don't know how we'd force somebody to fill those roles.
Is it at all worth talking about or investigating for future? I mean, I have had a lot of parents ask me that. Is there any way that we could come up with some way to help parents out on those days?
Marie, I thought 3 years ago or so, the board had this same discussion, and I thought at that time it was decided that if school was called off, school age care would continue. And I don't know how to go back and search through minutes to try to find that. Do you remember anything
I remember
about
the
that?
discussion. I do know it was a tough situation then too. I don't remember us saying that we would or we wouldn't. I can't say one way or the other. I don't remember it. Not having children in it, it's
Right,
not,
yeah.
it's hard for me to remember that. But I'm sure it's a challenge. But I know Carissa goes through it, she and Jake with their kids too, you know. When they're sick too, you gotta go through when they're sick too, so.
It's been a concern of our support staff though in the past, that when we call these days, they miss a day of work.
Mhm.
And so I wonder if it would be beneficial to at least ask our support staff if they would be interested in staffing something like this.
Is there anything required with certification?
I don't believe so.
So that, it sounds like something at least worth discussing.
I mean, and I know it's certainly not for this year, but is it something that we can ask the SAC, isn't that what it's called? SAC,
Mhm.
yeah. People to look at, and that they have a contingency plan. And I understand that if it's snow, this is off the table. We're not gonna be asking staff to come in on a snow day, that's crazy. But when it's cold, do we have support staff who would say, yes, I would be interested in working, and yeah, we might be open 6 to 6. But there might be people that'll say, I'll work the 4 hours in the morning or 6 hours, I mean, I don't know, I just think it shouldn't be off the table. We should ask them to take a look at it and see if it's something they would, it would really be a huge service to the community. It's a big deal.
So I wonder if it'd be something we'd run through community ed then instead.
We can check it out.
And tie
Again,
it
I've
in
never
with-
been part of anything,
Yeah.
you know, like
It-
that before, because, you know, every district I've been to, you shut down, and there's just some things then people have to understand that, because when we shut down, a lot of times businesses are shut down too. So.
But there's many, if you're, I mean, I know, for instance, I talked to a policeman he's a policeman in Woodbury. He said, and he's a single dad. He would use that. I talked to a couple nurses, they would use it. And so I just think it's worth talking
we
about
check
and
it out, yeah.
investigating.
We check it
And
out
if
and
we
see
could
it.
offer that for our families, it would be huge.
Well, it would be. I do think that would be appreciated. Somehow we might have to separate it out though and how,
Well, let me find out
yeah,
if there's any issues with that.
thank you. Good suggestion. It was
Okay,
considered.
let's see what's next here. Well, I want to talk a little bit about referendum information here. Pass those down. And this is what I mentioned before about factual information that we're putting together that I'll be using in presentations. And then when the campaign group gets together and communications, there's other information that they can take off of this and the survey to start putting together different messages. So if we let's take a look at this one, the multi-page one with the circle graph on there first. Circle graph. diagram, you know, this deals with our debt capacity, and I'll just go through these very quickly, and then we'll run through these again some other time here. But that really talks about our debt capacity, you know, how much we're, what the total valuation of the district is, and then our general obligation, you know, what we can bond up to is 10% of that. Right now, after this year, we'll be using 4% of that capacity, so I mean, we've got a lot of capacity there, which most districts never use what their capacity is. The next two bar graphs, if you flip the page over, there's two graphs, and what that just shows is the tax rate over the history, and the one with the red is just the new amount there on the right. And then if you flip that page over, here's your tax impacts. Hopefully it's very easily understood just what question 1 is going to cost, what question 2 is going to cost, and the combined impact per whatever your valuation is. The next page where it says funding to support facility updates, that's basically taken right off of the survey. So we're staying consistent with what we tested out in the public and what we asked for as far as what the questions are going to be. And it's just broken down elementary, middle school, and high school. And then a little blurb on the back side there about the tax impact as far as the district committing to be good stewards and what have you. And again, this was some of the information that was off of the survey also, again, to be consistent. The last thing I want to share with you here is this colored diagram here. Now this is just, we're going to have 30 by 40 inch storyboards, presentation boards. So if you want to be over at the high school at a game and set them up over there, or the presentations that we make, we'll have these big storyboards. And one is this 3D version here, basically a perspective drawing that shows just what's being done. And then the back side is an actual floor plan, and again, reiterating just what it looks like in a two-dimensional view. So PMA and WOLD have been working very close with us on this information, and some of the, like these sheets here with the impacts and what have you, we can play with them a little bit to, make them a little bit more attractive or what have you. But these are things that we'll have for handouts when we talk with people and meet with people. So you can take a look at those, and if you have any comments on them, WOLD is going to have these two boards made up in the next couple of days. So if you see anything on there in the next couple of days that you have a question about, let me know, because we want to get that information ready in hand so we can start taking the show on the road.
I really like how this is presenting the future possibilities too, and forward thinking. I think it's nice to have that in there as well, though it's not covered with this request.
Correct. And
is WOLD, or do you guys follow up with the city on this entrance change?
no, just talked to Bob about that. He and I had a conversation that we need to make sure that as we go along here that everything we're proposing that we can move forward with. He didn't see any roadblocks with it.
Okay.
I think the last thing I just wanted to share was just a couple things about this last week at the Educators Conference, or the Conference on Education down in Milwaukee that Lori and I attended. A lot of good sessions. This was particularly interesting. The School Administrators Alliance, which is basically a lobbying organization for education and for the administrative portion of it. And I gave you what their legislative agenda is this year, and in the back it says legislative update. Those were all the talking points that they covered with us to go through there. And Tony Evers spoke one day at one of our general sessions, did a great job. And if half of what he wants comes true, we're gonna be in shape, we'll be in better shape. And Lori, if you have anything to add, great sessions, really good sessions. There was a good day and a bad day, and we go to sessions all day Wednesday, sessions in the morning, and you know, you collect a lot of things and information, take a lot of notes, and somebody took my conference bag and took all my stuff. I have some books I bought and a 3-ring binder, and they thought I had, all the bags look alike. But anyway. So, Laura, anything you want to share?
The first day I spent mostly at the delegates convention. I was a delegate because Bob wasn't able to go, and that was very informative. I also spent some time, I was at a session with the Forecast 5 group. That was very informative, and I hope that we can have a discussion about that and get some more information and have that on one of our future agendas. There's a lot of capability there that we could be using that we aren't at this time. And I understand that we already have this system. There's a little bit of an update that doesn't cost very much that would give us a lot more information. And I think we have like 5 licenses. And I think only 3 of them are being utilized right now.
What is it?
It's a forecasting model where you can set up your own parameters, and you can compare to other districts, and it pulls off a DPI, and I think it's a Skyward.
Yep. And it uses some of the data that we're required to report. For example, the data that has to be reported for the ESSA, Every Student Succeeds Act. So if you're going to collect all that data and turn it into DPI, there's things that we could be looking at there to help us make decisions as board members about where we're spending money and what kinds of policies that we want to put in place. And we have it, we're paying for it, and we could be using it more effectively. Another person I ran into there was Stu from Neola, and he's very concerned that we have a lot of policies that we're behind on. He brought it up to me when I was going through the conference.
Did he know we went through a whole lot at the beginning of this year?
I think there's another whole batch or 2.
Yeah, this year's that we never looked at.
Yeah, that we still need to go through. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay.
Another session I went to was the Blue Ribbon Commission on Education. Senator Olson was there and Representative Kitchens. They are the 2 who were the co-chairs of the group. And my understanding is that they're going to be using the findings of this commission to write bills to support education. Senator Olson and Representative Kitchen were pretty positive toward Governor Evers' plan. So I look forward to seeing what comes of it.
So this would actually be under the other, so we're kind of hopping around here a bit on the agenda, but I'm glad you're sharing this at this point. So Senator Olson, and who was the other one?
Senator Olson and Representative Kitchens were the co-chairs of the committee, the Blue Ribbon Committee.
It was a very positive overtone. I mean, there's a lot of very optimistic outlook. So at least now we have someone pushing an education agenda. So that's all.
Thank you, both Lori and Dr. Beasley. What I'd like to suggest is, since we have a few people waiting to hear Abby's, and if the rest of you are all right with it, could we move right to 5 so that we can hear the summer school recap as well as Trent's presentation? I think you're on that next one, right, Trent? And
I'm
then
fine
Abby.
with that. I'm not.
No, I'm sorry, no. It's for the field trip, and I misspoke there. And I don't see her here, it's for us to have that discussion. So, but if that would be the rest of your pleasure, unless you guys don't mind sitting through the whole, Brad and Sandy, what's your preference? Okay, so let's do that, if everyone's all right with that?
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes,
Yes.
we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna look at,
Bull was on
item
tonight, so I gotta go and watch Bull.
We're at 5A then. Thanks for coming in and sharing this with us.
Thank you.
Hold on, give me the right one. Think so. I'll tell you what, I've done this for 32 years. First report I made to the board on summer school. This one back 4 years, just to give you some idea. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I talked to Randy about expanding and going into this starting school those first couple of days of August and using it as a student count. If you look through on the top page, you'll see it. If you look on it, that's just the top page of the report. The report's quite lengthy, and I do want to give Sandy credit. I was hoping she wouldn't be here to hear this, but
somebody would tell me.
There's a lot involved into doing a report, a state report, and in fact, when they changed over to a new system that they have now, the auditor that came in here for the accounting firm came in and started going through our report. They come in and they take 40, 45 classes, and you got to go through and explain to them how you came up with what you came up with. And as we got done with it, the auditor looked at Sandy and said, "Now, how did you do that? Explain this to me, show this to me." And she called somebody else up on the phone and started talking to them and said, "Well, this is what we found here." So she basically trained the accounting firms how to really do the summer school report. And that's probably good, because we've always had good reports since they based it on how we did things. We've always had great reports. They've always come back real positive. And she kind of helped set the tone for them for how we did them. In 2019 or 2018, we had 1,462 students attend school, summer school. That's your elementary schools, that's your middle school, that's your high school for the couple days they're open, plus summer school. Summer school on the average has about 900 to 950 kids. I'll go through that back in a little bit. Our student enrollment, student aid for last summer was 110 additional student aids. And I'm not going to go into the finance stuff because Mark can do that, or Dave's not here, but that does give the district a pretty good piece of revenue. Now, that's not, we get 110 additional student aids times the state student aid. We get a percentage of that, plus you get additional student aids, but like I said, I'm not going to go into that. In 2017, we had 1,293 students come in. Now, in 18, we had 2 days of school. We had 2 days that we brought all the students in and had them in school. And like I said, we talked about this for a few years ago, and finally Mark said, "Let's do it. Let's bring them in." We brought them in last summer for 1 day, or last year for 1 day. This year, by that I'm meaning the last school year, brought them in for 2 days. But last year we had, in 17, we had 1,293 students. Our average daily attendance was 92.5. Which means if you look at in 18, we had 5.3 million minutes of attendance. In 2017, we had 4.5 million minutes of attendance. Now, we increased in 18 by 28 student aides by opening up school those couple days early. 28 additional students from the middle school, high school. And we don't get much from the elementary because they do conferences and stuff, Kelly. You don't have
They do their testing.
Yeah, you get them for 30 minutes apiece, and we don't get, the minutes we get from the high school and middle school are 750,000. Elementary, 40,000, 50,000. In 2016, to give you a comparison about not having, in 2016 we had 994 students attend, and we had our state aid that summer was 80.8, which means we had 3,929,000 minutes. In 2015, we had 919 students attend, which gave us 84 student aids, so a little over 4 million minutes. Now, I don't know what dropped from 15 to 16. I have no idea. But 16 to 17, if we didn't have summer summer school, if we didn't have the additional student aides, we'd have been down about 79 students in 17. That opening up the school early picked us up quite a bit. Last year, we picked up 28 student aides. If we didn't do that, we'd have been down about in the high 70s, low 80s for for student. I don't know. We dropped a little bit last year. I don't know if part of that is the online stuff. I don't know. Sometimes summer school is kind of like it's a convenience. I mean, it's a great thing for the parents. They can bring their children here. There's parents that put their kids on the bus at 7 o'clock in the morning to get them back at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and it costs them nothing. Nothing, because they put them in all activity classes. You can't charge for activity classes. Whatever we do have fees, and for every fee we have, if Bruce Blargen, who was a former student in summer school, comes in and takes kite making, and we charge him $10, Bruce has to leave with $10 worth of product. We can't charge him a fee or charge him assess a fee. We have to physically give him stuff.
Well, and Brad, that has to be, since 2016, that's now in the state report that gets recapped per class.
Well, you have to.
Prior to that, they didn't recap it with the state report. That wasn't part of it. But from 2016 on, now it is.
If you have a time making class, then you have to have the number of kids, the money you collected, how much you spent. And if you didn't spend, if every kid didn't get his $10 or $4 or 50 cents, whatever it is, we were going around sometimes giving kids bottles of water and stuff to make, instead of giving somebody back 50 cents, we just get those kids and give them a bottle of water, say, here you go. It meets the state aid, it meets the state requirement. But and I do think, and I don't know what the thoughts are now, I know that Osceola and them they go 3 days, Osceola and Amory, I think, Shannon, I think they go 3 days before the start of school. Yeah, well, and that's just, Sarah's group was about 680,000 minutes. Shannon's was 760, 770. Add those up, divided by 48,600, that tells you your student aids. And I think that those two schools alone are 11, 12, 13 student aids per day. So, I don't know, unless you guys have any questions,
I don't understand the student aid, so.
That's what runs the school district.
What's that?
That's what runs the school district.
No, so when you're saying, the 48,600 minutes.
Okay, every student during the course of the school year, all the students that attend Sarah's and Shannon's class, they'll spend 48,600 minutes in the classroom.
And the state reimburses.
And the state reimburses the school district for those kids in that class.
Because
in summer school, they reimburse us at the rate of 48,600 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's like an addition. So if you look at on the front top page where it shows 110 student aids, that's 5,338,000 minutes. And they divide that by the 48.6, the same formula they use during the school year. And then they base the state aid reimbursement off of summer school. Now, there was a time that we had a lot of construction going on, and it was getting real frustrating for a lot of people. And one time Randy Rosberg talked about, well, maybe we should just drop summer school. And ironically, the guy from the New Richmond News came over and did an article. Bob Avery was the business manager, did an article and found out how much money the district really made. But we never discussed that again. So I don't know, that's up to Mark, that's, I think we do okay. I think we pay the bills and, yeah. And plus it's what also, there's 110 students, you get 25% of that on equalization aids, and I'm not gonna get into all that stuff because I was a FIAD teacher. So, any questions?
Well, it's a huge plus for our community, and parents really appreciate it. I mean, it's almost like we have year-round school. And the fact that, and there are other ones out there, but having the busing is a huge benefit. And and so you guys have really put a lot of effort into it, and parents and families really appreciate it. And it's a big marketing tool for us to offer that. You've just grown it. And that's what you didn't just sit there on your haunches. It just grew and grew and grew. So thank you. It's fabulous.
I mean, we've had people over the years that would come in and want to enroll kids in summer school because they've heard about it from a friend in Hudson or Richmond, whatever. They're looking to move over to Hudson and Richmond. And they come here and I just tell them, unless you have a Somerset address, so you're going to move to Somerset. We can't. We have to accept Somerset kids. And they move here, right? It's part of the attraction. because
Well,
all the
it
kids-
has been a wonderful tool for new students coming into the district too, when they move in the summer. When well, especially me at the middle school, you know, I promote, they'll come in to register and I'll like, okay, sign your kids up for summer school. This is a great place to
Then they
meet.
have friends when school
Right,
starts.
great place to meet
Yeah.
kids, great,
It is.
you know, you get used to the building, you get used to what's going on, and they're just more comfortable coming to school in the fall.
You know, it also gives, we have a number of students that take remedial high school and remedial middle school that get caught up, pick up some credits. So that's kind of we do have consumer ed, it's done and offered, of course, in the summertime. I think we run about 25, 30 kids in that. Last year we had health. Health last year. We run a Phi Ed class. Bruce loves that we run a Phi Ed class since he's a Phi Ed teacher. And we have 50 some kids in there, Bruce. You know, what that does, that is it gives those kids, most of those kids in the summer school Phi Ed are your music and arts, fine arts type of stuff. And it's hard for them to schedule. So coming in for 4 weeks, 4 hours a day after 4 weeks to get their Phi Ed credit, and they're good to go.
Well, and then we also offer the adventure camp at the elementary school, which is K through 4th grade, for just, it's for the first 3 weeks, just additional.
Title I kids.
Well, not necessarily.
Oh, it's not just Title I.
No, no,
My granddaughters
no.
are in.
Yep,
Well, it's invitation.
yep,
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's how she got in, and Jane invited her because she,
Yeah.
I didn't say anything.
but it's just little additional help and keep them, keep on track.
And keeps them out of the neighborhood. I mean, seriously, when there's no summer school,
What kind of neighborhood do you live in?
I live across the street.
Right
I live across the street, and
Maybe I
it
shouldn't
is,
say the hood.
yeah.
That's what I call it.
Keeping them busy and safe and enriched is huge, rather than just running around.
That's the one thing we do hear from parents, because they'll come in after summer school starts and they'll say, okay, I wanna sign my child up for summer school, and I'm like, well, you know, it's already started. Yeah, we know, all the kids in the neighborhood are gone, open and play.
What's open?
Yeah.
Other questions? All right, thanks.
Thank you.
See you guys. Thanks for the advice.
Oh yeah, let's make sure the day's off.
Well, it hasn't gone out
You
yet.
won't be so happy it's open.
Brad, I'm sorry we never had you come and do one of these before, the two of you. Good information.
He doesn't look that disappointed.
Okay, I sent them to the superintendent, the business manager. If they don't forward them on to you, take it up with them.
Okay.
Well, I thought I was gonna get cake, that's why I came today.
I'm sorry. There aren't cookies better for us? Nope.
Mine is cake.
I'm sorry.
Maybe a Snicker bar sandwich.
All right, so now let's hear from Trent. We'll go up to 5B then,
Can you pull?
right?
Yes.
Yes. Make it on my team. Yep, you're on the spot tonight too. All right, so what we wanted to present and talk to you about tonight is our strength and conditioning program at the high school, and kind of just to give you an overview as to how we got here. What we really want to do with our strength and conditioning program, our main goal is that we want to offer our students, whether they're in sports or not in sports, a top-of-the-line training program, efficient workout space, and a cohesiveness within the athletic department. And how we got to this point is we did a lot of self-reflecting with our coaches, and I have two of our more veteran coaches with us here tonight, with our student athletes, parents of our programs, and just kind of looking around at what our competitors within the conference in the area are doing, some of the programs that they're using. And it really led us to, is it about the equipment that we're using, or is it the programming that we're doing, or is it a combination of both? It all started when we started talking to one of the programs that was out there, and they gave us this idea of, well, if you take your existing weight room and turn your stations this way and do some things different with the layout, you're gonna have all this extra room. Then we started looking at different equipment to possibly upgrade some of the equipment that was in there as it's existing from when the renovation took place. And then we looked at it some more and we're like, gosh, we could fundraise and spend money on some of the equipment in there, or are we better suited on doing something that would have more of a direct impact on the kids in the immediate future? And we'll go back actually. There we go. And some of the things that we talked about within the department was we needed to have alignment within the programs. Some programs, most of them use BFS, some kind of do their own thing. And what ultimately it comes down to is we want to be able to train our kids the same, whether they're going to be out for football, out for soccer, if they're going to be out for wrestling, cross country, or basketball. We want to be able to train multiple sport athletes at our school because we are a small school. We have kids that specialize and play in different sports. Do you guys want to kind of share about some of the stuff that we've seen to get to this point?
Well, we've used BFS for a lot of years, and BFS has been really good. There are, as stuff evolves, there's more and more stuff available. I spend time with Brian Witzman. He always comes back every summer, and he works out with ETS training. And the ETS guy is a River Falls guy who knows Rocky, who's down at River Falls. And he said, hey, you got to talk to this guy. They're doing some pretty good stuff. ETS really kind of got their claim to fame because they trained Adam Thielen. And then they've really kind of taken off from there. There's other options out there. Catalyst is down in Hudson. They deal with Hudson High School. EVO is a company that we also looked at. They do a lot of unique things, very similar to ETS. A lot of stuff that ETS does came from EVO. And we started looking at it and say, okay, is this something that will be better for our kids? This is high-end stuff. This is not your everyday, oh, come on in, we'll do a few of these, a few of these. This is a higher level. It's a lot different than what we've been doing. We've been kind of tinkering with it because we talked to the ETS guy, the EVO guy, and they're kind of like, well, do a few of these things and see how it goes. And since we've done that, boy, the response from our kids has been unbelievable. We've had, last Friday we had 65 kids in at 10 to 7, and it's been fantastic. And kids have really latched on to it. It's safer. There's less likelihood of an injury. It promotes range of motion, promotes flexibility. It just, to me, seems like quite a bit better way to go. It gives kids more, there's a lot of science behind it. It's stuff that we have to be trained in. It's stuff that your larger schools bring somebody in and do. River Falls has a person that comes in and does it. Hudson has a person that comes in and does it. We don't have that number of kids that we can afford to do that, but we do have a person in the community that has done a lot of this stuff that's willing to help us out with EVO. Myself, Mr. Roll, and some other coaches can learn it, and it's stuff that I think could really benefit our kids in a significant way. And that's kind of how we got to where we are.
Yeah, and
So is this a curriculum? Is this specifically for athletes? Is it something that could be implemented in a physical education arena?
It is going to be. It is implemented in physical education. The person that writes the workouts takes feedback from us. Hey, here's our concerns. Here's where we're struggling. Here's where we're weak. Here's where we're strong, and then they adjust the workouts to try to fill in the gaps to make kids as solid as you possibly can. And it's not just strength; it's speed, it's flexibility. You're really trying to build the best possible physical attributes in a kid that you can. It has a lot to do with, everything's done with alignment. Knees aligned, toes aligned, hips aligned, shoulders aligned, and perfect alignment so your joints last.
Yeah.
And, when you get kids in a weight room, if they can't do a lift, what's the next best thing? Well, tweak here and tweak here and tweak here until I can. Well, the tweaks are out of alignment, and out of alignment over time is trouble. This forces kids to go back to a lighter weight, but be in absolutely perfect position and body control, and it teaches them to turn muscles on and off on command. It gives them better stability, it gives them better body control, it makes them quite a bit better in a very short period of time.
Is there a way to expand this into community ed too? Because now as we get to be, as I get to be more of a senior citizen.
Thank you.
We're instructed too, we need to do a better job of weight training ourselves, which I never thought I'd do. Is there something that we can do to pull it that way to help cover some of the costs?
Right now, I would say a lot of the stuff that we're doing, most of it
Yeah,
doesn't involve a lot of weights.
No.
We're doing a lot of wall sits, we're doing
Yeah,
a lot of
that's
lunges,
what
we're
it sounds
doing a
like.
lot of basic stuff that, it's really interesting. It's something different, but yeah, it's something anybody can do.
It's stuff that any entry-level person can do, whether they're
It's a matter how long you can do it.
8th grader, 9th grader walking in the door, never been in the weight room. It's not intimidating, which is what I really like about it, especially, you know, I coach boys and girls. And a lot of our girls are intimidated to go in the weight room because there's really strong football players pushing a lot of weight in there.
Yeah.
And this is not that. This is the emphasis, like Bruce said, is on good form, good posture, good alignment. You know, a lot of it's just body weight stuff. You know, it's wall sits, lunges, pull-ups, those things, and holding it for 30 seconds in the right position. You know, and that stuff can be done whether you're a 14-year-old freshman or a 65-year-old senior citizen in our community. You know, the emphasis isn't on our heavyweight. You know, lifting lots of weight.
I think that's a good direction to go, because I know some kids, definitely the weightlifting terminology itself is kind of misleading.
Well, what really kind of caught my eye was, I always go to the Minnesota State Finals every year and watch those, and 3 of the 4 teams in the state semifinals changed to this type of training last year. Woodbury, who won 1 game the year before, made it to the state semifinals. Maple Grove won 3 games the year before, made it to the state semifinals, and Lakeville North won it all and pounded Eden Prairie, who typically is the best team in Minnesota. And Lakeville North has about 500 kids a day doing this stuff now. And Lakeville North is having their best all around year they've had in everything. River Falls High School is experiencing the same thing. They just went to it a year ago. They're having more success athletically than they've had in a long time. And you're finding that, and that's kind of what caught my eye. It's like, okay, they're doing something different and it's working, because they are, you can see it. I mean, the Lakeville North team I watched in the state finals was one of the best high school football teams I've ever seen come out of Minnesota. They looked different, and you could see it.
That include the Vikings?
I don't know, that was coming out.
Sorry, guys.
But
Well, he just made a statement, one clarification.
you know, and you talk to people that are doing this stuff, and, you know, I talk to people at River Falls, I talk to people at Hudson, Menominee, and every one of them are like, yeah, this is the best thing we've ever done. And kids love it, their numbers are up, injuries are down. At some point you look at it and say, boy, we're kind of missing the boat here, and this is something we really need to look at.
We started implementing a lot of these concepts here the last couple of weeks, and I know, like for us, for girls soccer, out of 39 girls that have, you know, stated an interest in playing, we had 23 of those girls in the weight room last week, which is way higher than we've ever had before. You know, that's
So
a really high
can we change
percentage
it
for
from
us.
weight room to training room?
It's actually,
That's
no,
what we
it's
just talked
honestly,
about. We
yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
a performance development center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kind of removes that mindset of why you're going there, right? It's to improve your overall performance. And one of the things that I found in talking with our coaches from the moment that I got here was it just seemed like everybody was kind of all over the board doing things, and I have to give these guys a lot of credit because they've spent a ton of time looking at the programs that are out there. They've spent a lot of the time with our kids trying different aspects of them to see what would probably be our best fit, but that's one thing that we keep coming back to, is having that alignment with our programs and something that everything can align with. And our running coaches, our cross-country coaches, and then the people that have been involved with track, like they're taking to this too. And in the past, it hasn't been a focal point of the programs to spend time training in that facility. But, you know, just to carry on with it also is the program that we're looking at, it does have a cost associated with it, right? And it's funny, in talking with the coaches, at one point we had to invest money into BFS, into getting that program, and then at different times bringing out clinicians, bringing in people to work with them and train them on what had to be done. But at the end of the day, it was our coaches that were here left to run the program, right? And they've done a heck of a job because we've had a tremendous amount of success. But as our coaches alluded to earlier, we have to rethink about the way that we're doing things. We have to keep up with the practices that are out there and reaching with our kids. So the program itself, we have a cost with that of $15,000. I'll get to it in just a moment on how we would plan to pay for this on the next slide. But what that includes is it includes access to the workouts, online for our kids and our coaches to access it. It includes the description and videos of the workouts, and also tailoring of the workouts. Coach talked about that earlier. The people that run this company, they want feedback from our coaches, they want feedback from our athletes to tailor them to what our needs have to be. They'll come out, they'll train our coaches, which is something that we haven't done in quite a bit of time with the strength and conditioning program, and it's constant consultation. They're also offering to, as Coach said earlier, we have a local person that's willing to come out and be a presence in our facility and work with our kids in conjunction with our coaches. That includes him coming out 4 times a week, 1 hour per day during the school year, and up to 2.5 hours a day during the summer, which is a huge time commitment. In looking at the programs that are out there, the ETS program that River Falls uses, the Catalyst program that Hudson uses, what they had quoted us and were willing to charge us for that, it didn't include a person. We're getting a really good value with this. How we would plan to pay for this, our source of funds, and we've talked with our coaches. Yeah.
I'm sorry, before you go on, so is that 15,000 a one-time charge?
Each year.
Each year.
Each year, yep, and 10,000 each year. And then our plan to pay for this would be, we've talked with our coaches on this, you know, I don't want to say tax each program, but each program is going to be counted on to raise money to bring to the table. So it's about $1,000 from each program. In the conversations that we've had as coaching staffs, that hasn't been an issue with any of the programs. The Spartan 300 would make a contribution to it. We do have a donor that's willing to upfront donate $1,000 to get us going, and then that leaves us with roughly $6,000 that we'd have to come up with. We'd want to do that by increasing the athletic fee from $65 to $85 starting next school year. We wouldn't need to do that necessarily right now. It would be looking at the next school year. On the next slide, we'll show you a comparison of where we're at with middle border schools and what other schools that are doing stuff similar to this pay for it.
The other thing on that is, you know, the increase in the fees. River Falls, if you're going to do their program, it's $275 a year. Hudson's $270 a year. If we can do this for what we're trying to do it for, we're getting an incredible amount for the money that we're putting into it. I mean, it would make a huge difference.
Do they charge kids that?
Yes.
So they charge their athletic or activity fee. If a kid's going to go out for wrestling or volleyball, they charge that fee. And then to do their strength and conditioning program, they charge that separate fee also.
Which you don't have a choice. You're doing this.
How long have we been at 65?
We worked hard to bring it down
It's,
so that more kids were in the schools.
it's never changed with John Walsh. So it changed when I was in that seat at some point,
Yeah, it
so
changed when my kids were in
8 years maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's show the comparison.
Yeah. Yep. So currently in the Middle Border Conference, this is the breakdown of where everybody's at. So as you can see, Prescott and Amory are definitely above everybody else. Baldwin is really low in theirs. New Richmond, they set theirs at 50, but we also have to keep in mind, they have a lot more students and a lot more sports that they do offer that we don't offer, and a lot of the schools in our conference don't offer, so they have more participants.
They also pay a strength coach $9,000 a year as a position. I know him.
So if we did increase the athletic fee and get our activities, our dramas, our robotics, cheer, dance, our activities, we wouldn't be looking to increase that. If this is just athletic fees. If we increased it from $65 to $85, we still wouldn't be in that top 2 of the conference. But also, we do know that there's other schools in our conference that are looking at doing something similar to this, where that's either they're gonna be paying the fee one way or another, whether it's writing a check for just the program, or they increase it through fees.
Does not include hockey.
Does not include hockey, right?
Yep, we didn't include hockey because the arrangement with hockey and ice time, and they pay enough already. It's
Oh, yeah.
what we can do
And
without.
this isn't like a typical raise that we've had in the past either. I mean, they're actually getting more now for their increase. You know, in the past, when we've raised a fee,
It's just-
you're getting the same product. You're still getting the same number of games. You're still, you know, I mean, we've just increased because of costs of busing, costs of coaches, et cetera, inflation. This, you're actually getting a tangible service for your extra $20 per sport.
That's why I was asking if there's any way to tie this into the Phi-Ed curriculum, so that it could actually be shared, some of the cost of it, if it's actually programs taught in the Phi-Ed, not just your athletes on teams, but if we actually had some classes.
It is what we do in weight training classes, exactly what we're gonna do.
So are the weight training specifically, so maybe we just need to change the name of the weight training classes to performance?
It's gonna be the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So could some of that cost be part of that?
That'd be good with me.
And, in the grand scheme of things, there's only so much of the general budget to go around, so we're looking at trying to balance everything with that.
Let's just leave it right there.
As Bill said earlier, Coach Roll said earlier, with this, if the fees increase, they're getting that direct benefit from it. And if a kid truly does play 3 sports, a fall, winter, and a spring sport, the overall increase would be a maximum of $60. And we do waive it for our free and reduced students as well. And we do have scholarships available if need be. We have people that step up and help with that.
If a kid plays football and they pay the $20, can they still continue through the year? Okay.
Okay, but every year you'd have to.
Yep.
Budget would increase. Like right now, when you say the source of funds, the $10,000 from athletic teams.
Yeah. So we'd be doing that annually, where each team raises $1,000 to get us that 10,000. Slide still.
What's the Spartan 300?
That's a fundraiser we do that's been very good to us. And it raises a good chunk of money, and it's for these type of things. It's where can we get a good bang for our buck and really have an impact? Last year, we used a large amount of that money to buy the helmets that are the safest helmets out there and you try to put it where, okay, this is stuff we normally couldn't afford, but this will help us. This will have a big impact.
Can public talk or no?
Well, of course.
I think a quick history lesson here. Marie, you remember when you were in high school, where'd you have your band performances and plays and stuff?
All in the gym.
On the gym on that little stage. That 1986, we put a
Actually, we
wall up,
sat on
divided
the
it off.
floor. Yeah, we sat on the
Put the
floor.
weight room in the back of it, a little
Yep.
18 by 30 weight room. Then eventually we made the addition up down in middle school. We went upstairs. I think now, Sarah, it's ventilation
HVAC.
heating stuff, yeah. But we went up there finally when we got up there. And then of course we come to this room here. And over all those years, all the equipment we bought back in '86 and bought back in '90 and '95 and 2000, and every piece of equipment in that room up there has been donated through the work of fundraising, through concerts, through people, private donations. The district owns the room, but they don't own anything in that room in essence, because it's been all donated, all been paid for. And I think when you look at this, I think there needs to be a commitment on the board, because in summertime, Bruce has last year probably 145 kids, 4 days a week in that weight room, which brought us in 12 or 13 student aides. And then we have a class down the middle school where John Rivard runs a weight program class down the middle school. So they probably, between weight training, it's probably upwards of 20 student aides. And if you break that on down, the cost what that thing makes is just astronomical. And I guess the point I'm getting at is we've never come to the board in my 25 years, and I don't know if Bill ever did, but we've never come to the board and asked for anything. We've never said, most school districts, they built a $500,000 weight room in Wausau West. It's all district. It's nothing. I mean, nobody had to fundraise it, nobody had to go out and get it. I mean, Bruce and I, we picked up garbage, I mean, it's unbelievable the things we did over the years. Huh?
We
Picked
borrow
up cans on the
steel,
river.
so we do.
You know, I mean, we did a lot to build it and get it going. And I just think, you know, you look at reports. So I looked at reports the other day, and you know, we're okay. We're up in a lot of things, but in the state of Wisconsin, we're 53rd out of 400 some schools in our athletics, and there's part of a reason. You know, we got good years ago because we started doing things. We had commitments, and I think don't make the kids go out and fundraise and make $10,000. I think the district should sit back and say, hey, we've got to do something here. We have to make a commitment and help get things. I think we were down. Laura, you know what it was like back in Bruce before you, when you were in junior high, what it was like, and we started getting athletics to be something. And I think we're kind of on a little downward slide. You know, and I believe the district has to start stepping up, or the board has to start stepping up and saying, I know money's tight. We find money for a lot of things. I could go through and tell you a lot of things I've seen over the years. And I think to sit back and say, and I don't know, Tasia, do you use it for cheerleading?
Use strength.
Weightlifting? Do kids lift weights?
They do, and I would be happy. I know I emailed Trent and I said our cheer program would contribute to it happily too, because our athletes would benefit from it greatly.
We had 145 kids 4 days a week in the gym last summer, you know, working. So I just think that just so you remember and understand, you walk by that way, a lot of people get wowed by it when they come by and see the facility that Bruce has built up over the years for the size of who we are. And it's all been work, sweat. Bruce, you picked up garbage over the years and stuff. You know, swept cans out of the Apple River when the dam broke one year. And, you know, we've done a lot of things to make that. So, sorry, that's enough. I'll go much more. Guess I'm not going home.
We also wanted to include participation numbers in here so you kind of know where we're at with an annual rate. This last fall we had 162 of our high school students participate in WIAA sports. That doesn't include any activities, cheer, dance, robotics, drama. That's just purely WIAA athletics, 162 during the fall. During the winter we had 81 so far. That number looks a little off because we have kids that come from other schools also for hockey. We don't include them in there. We counted just the Somerset kids. And then in the spring, we're projecting 165 participants for all of our sports there. Also wanted to include what other schools are doing or what they're paying for something similar to this. The kids in River Falls are paying $275 a year for this type of programming, in addition to their activity fee for each sport that they're in. Hudson is $270 a year. Menominee comes out to $275 per year. Their boosters pay that for them. The kids don't actually pay that. New Richmond funds a strength coach. And then other schools in the middle border are in discussions with other companies or programs that are out there also. So they're on the verge of getting this. Kind of what our next steps are is we'd like to get the ball rolling with this full-fledged in February. As we've said earlier, we've been kind of experimenting with the different programming to see, number one, if it's a good fit for us. Number two, how it's received by our student athletes. The feedback has been pretty darn good. As they said earlier, there were over 60 kids in there last Friday. One of the neatest things, other than watching the kids work out in the morning, is at about 7:40 when you see just a huge crowd of student athletes coming down to go get breakfast then to start their day off. So they're getting in, they're getting their workout in, they're going down and getting good nutrition, and then they're starting off their school day on knowing that they got a good workout and their bellies are full with good food. If we're able to start this in February, that provides us with 2 12-week cycles. That would lead us right into the start of fall sports in August.
And we have the $15,000 in place. That's money that we've had set aside, that we have that. So we have that in place. We don't need anything right now. We just need people look at it and say, yeah, this is a good idea and something that we need to do.
I think it sounds really good. I would be in support of it.
Well, you have to change with the times and the research and you have to update your programs. You can't stay stale.
Well, we're all getting a little smarter too, and wish we had learned some of that stuff when we were that age, when I was that age.
The stuff we've been doing, I've never seen anything like it. It's just, you watch it and I can't wait to get in the morning. And kids can't, when they come in, they're fired up. It's like, well, this is different. This is pretty neat.
I really think there's a place for it in community ed too.
Well, the summer program is phenomenal. I mean, parents talk about that too. That's another thing we offer, is that those high school kids are up early and they're getting their workout and they're healthy. And so that's a community piece, I think, that we offer. And so if we can be more state of the art and if kids are more engaged, it's a win-win.
So what are you looking for from us this evening?
We're looking for basically the go-ahead that we can start with this, knowing that we have the initial 15,000.
We just don't want somebody to come in and say, hey, what the heck's going on? And wow, geez, I don't have any idea. We have everything in place. We just, like I said, I don't want anybody to ever come back and say, well, geez, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Thank you for bringing it to our awareness. I think it sounded like we as a board. Katie, you too?
Well, yes and no. I appreciate all the work and effort that has already gone into it. But I'm nervous about the referendum, and so I do worry about committing even these funds. But I know that you've already done $15,000 of it. So
But we also have the rest of it. We can cover the first year. The 25,000 for the first year, we can cover.
How about you, Bruce? What's your thoughts on it?
That is a fantastic idea.
So we've got 4 for sure's and one that has some reservations, rightfully so, on that. But wonderful work, and I look forward to seeing it. I hope I can come and watch or sign up for community ed when you do it that way. Great. I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't see you. Speak up.
That's okay. That's okay.
You got to do what Brad did.
I mean,
Hey,
it's
can I
3:30.
speak?
I'm kind of fading here a little bit.
I'm sorry.
Okay, let me do this. I'll meet with Trent, and we'll go through numbers, get Dave, and let's bring it back at our next work session. So we have.
I think we have to approve that.
I need a clear pathway on this, because what I'm hearing is you don't want to touch activity fees, or.
I'd rather not touch activity fees. I mean, I was just thinking that Sarah Colling wrote a grant for her position.
Okay.
That's,
okay.
I mean, that's a chunk of money
And
that's
one
the
hand,
same
it makes it
if I
easier.
add
Okay.
class.
Okay, so I just need to talk with Dave too, and Trent, and we'll get a pathway for this, and we'll bring it to our next meeting.
But as a whole, I see the board in support of it. We do want to help with finding out how we can better fund it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad and Sandy.
Thanks for your input.
All right. So do we want to finish off 5 and then we'll go back to the overnight field trip, or do you want to go back?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the field trip.
I'll second that.
Any questions on that? My only concern is we gotta cover substitute teachers for that, and I think it was 2 days of that, and at the time she had suggested 3 teachers as chaperones, if I remember right.
She said 4 chaperones, and she had 3 teachers committed to it. The 4th chaperone doesn't necessarily have to be a teacher. Right
So-
now, there are 3 teachers involved.
So that means 3 subs, and you were gonna look into that for the cost of that?
Well, it's 120 a day. We already know that. We just upped it.
Yep.
So it'd be 240 times 30.
So as long as it's covered, I'll take a motion on it. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Overnight field trip has been approved. So onwards, let's go backwards actually. We're gonna go back to the financial reports. Did anyone have any questions on that? 2D. If not, we're gonna scoot right over to, do we wanna go through 2E? Any significant things there?
Renee told me that, she's working on spring classes and it will be all online again.
Enrollment, okay.
I like your idea of putting the weight room performance thing
I would love that.
for an after hours. I mean, I think you get some,
Yeah,
think you
having
would
a
too.
community
and a
ed
fee
class.
there too.
I'll
More
email
things like
her
that
right
we
now.
can do
And then
town
maybe-
like this,
Yep.
As far as the employee council, we'll have the next year's calendar ready to roll at our next meeting. Just a few pieces that we have to meet it administratively with, and that was the topic of the last employee council meeting.
All right, I did not attend the last CISA meeting because of same night at St. Joe's caucus. So I don't have anything there. Lori, do you have anything from Memorial Scholarship?
No, we're starting to receive some applications for scholarships. Many other students are working on them, and again, the committee would like to encourage all seniors to fill out an application because we have many different types of scholarships that are available to a large variety of students. So please apply.
So Shannon, can that be added to the announcements?
Yep, so a couple things we've done to try to promote it. Last week, when we had kind of our ACT day going on, we had about 2 hours in the morning where seniors were with their advisors working on specific scholarships, and that particular one being one that we were having kids focus on because of the wide variety of opportunities that the scholarship fund offers. So we're trying to keep pushing it out, something we're really kind of moving through our advisories with our seniors.
Okay, because I know as a senior, even in high school, didn't feel like we knew about those things.
Sure.
So anything you can do to help enhance that?
Well, last year they had 53 applicants.
That's good. That's really good. That is fantastic. So, yay.
Getting there.
All right. Excuse me, back to E1. I don't know, Bridging Somerset, any activity there? Okay. Excuse me, anything else then? Under the other? We had Lori's presentation on that. Thank you, Lori, for sharing that and for going and for repping us at that last week's school board convention. All right, so we're to item 3, or agenda item 3, the open forum. Do I have anybody? Did you guys? I don't see any red
Oh my
cards,
God.
pink cards. All right, Scoot and I with that. Item 4, engage the community through partnerships.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Bruce.
Second it.
Thank you, Katie. Any questions on that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the 2019-20 open enrollment chart as presented. Made by Bruce and Katie and unanimous. On to, we have already covered everything on 5, on to 6. Do we have anyone here to present anything for services and facilities? Or anything from you guys on that? Nope. All right, then let's go on to the consent agenda. Remember that we pulled out item 7CI, or 1, excuse me. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve the rest.
So moved.
Katie? And
Second.
Second by Catherine.
I would like to amend some of the minutes.
Okay, so if they are not with regards to the motions, are they specifically with the motions of those minutes?
I emailed these to Tasia earlier, and she suggested that I go through the meeting for them.
Okay.
Which one?
There were 3 of them. 2 were in the December 17th minutes.
Okay. All right, let's hear 'em.
All right, so in the December 17th minutes, in the Superintendents Report section, it says that Dr. Bezick shared an update on the summer school and enrollment. And what he was talking about was the summer school director position. And I'm not even sure that's the right terminology that I should be using. Whatever the job title was that we used to post that position.
Okay, I know that this is a technicality, but technically our minutes are to reflect our motions and our actions and not necessarily the interpretation of what someone reported on. So how does the board want to proceed with our minutes? Do you want, what kind of detail do you want? Because my guidance as a clerk was you do the motions and that's it. That way there's no potential or less potential for interpretation misunderstandings. And I didn't have to editorialize what someone said or did not say. And so that's why I'd be cautious about changing anything on reports. If it's a motion, that has to be addressed. But otherwise, if they're reports, it's really what she heard versus what you heard, and there's always room for interpretation there.
Well, it wasn't a report on summer school, it was a report on the position of.
So it says an update.
So that's all it has
An
to say.
update on the.
On summer school and enrollment.
And enrollment.
So you would maybe like to have her include in there also the director's position?
Well, it was an update on what was going on with that position.
So Tasia, are you okay with adding that tidbit in there?
Yep.
And you said you had 3 on here?
There was one more on this minute, the December 17th, and the school board member reports. I just wanted to add that it was Al Belargin who shared with the Somerset Memorial Scholarship.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it says it for the one above.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then in the January 7th work session minutes.
Did you catch that, Tasia?
She's typing it right
Okay.
now.
And the January 7th?
It says she also asked regarding the elimination of Illuminate, and it should be, she also asked for information regarding. You know, it's just to make it clearer what is being talked about here.
And that's fine, but these aren't things that I would necessarily bring towards, in front of the board. If it's a general, those are her minutes, not yours, not mine. They're hers, of our activities. What she has to reflect for us are the motions. So if you want it.
So can we add the word information there?
I'm fine with it. Are you okay with that, Tasia?
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Marie, while we're on this, just so that for further clarification, about the minutes, I can move to less of a narrative of the minutes and more of just motions because we have the video. That's what I've been recommended to do by my superintendent's assistants group or whatever. I know that would be a change, but I just wanted to share that.
So I think your minutes are already pretty concise.
Very
But
concise.
no, I just think from my perspective, sometimes you do a search, you can't remember when you talked.
Right.
And the only way you can find it is via the minutes to tell you where to look.
Or you could go back and watch the video now.
Well, in order to know which video to watch, I do search.
I've heard it both ways, but my training said the same thing as what Tasia did. You put down the motions because that is what carries weight out in the public. So when I brought that up before, the board decided they wanted a little bit of an outline, same as what Katie and Lori are asking for now. I still stand the same. What's your preference, Catherine?
I think less is better.
Bruce, how about you?
Partial.
Indifferent. So you can keep going the way you are, and then if Lori has concerns, Lori, take them up with her. If it's the motion, then bring it to us.
And then just so, the reason why I said for her to bring it here was because the agenda was already published with those minutes. So I don't feel comfortable making changes after it's posted
Yeah,
unless
absolutely.
it's brought to you guys. So that's why I
That's fine.
asked for her to do that.
So how would you like it to work in the future, Marie?
It would have to go this way. If you feel strongly about it, it would have to come to the whole.
Okay,
So-
thank you.
Or if you can get
Or
it,
prior.
get them to me prior to when
To
I post
post
on
it.
Friday,
Okay,
Right.
then it is kind
Alright.
of a non-issue.
Yep.
thank you.
If it doesn't change the meaning.
Great.
That works.
Is that okay? Agreeable?
Yep.
Sounds good. All right. So then we will go to item 8A, our bringing down the personnel update, personnel update.
Did we vote?
We had to pass it on.
Oh,
We
I'm
didn't
sorry.
vote.
Katie and Catherine made motion to approve. Catherine seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries on the consent agenda, A, B, C, 2, D, and E. So then we'll look at item, which was 7C1, now as 8A instead. I would entertain a motion to approve the personnel update so that we can have the discussion on it.
I'll make that motion.
And a second? I'll second that.
Thank you. So I'm hoping, because this is actually,
Thanks, Lori.
the one under changes is actually a new position. So I'm hoping we can talk about it at a work session. And Mark was going to, he did run it, well, submit it to, Victoria McGrath. So let's just, if you don't mind, let's just give a little.
What's your question
delay.
on it?
Well, it's a new position, and it wasn't, it's a new title that was just,
It's a new title.
yeah.
Cause she's been there a long time. It's not
Not,
a-
not in this position.
Her position has changed.
So, part of my issue is that, what I asked Mark to clarify, was that, before these support staff was put on McGrath, they were to have done updated job descriptions, and those were to be submitted. So I'm a little confused about why this one wasn't updated before it went to McGrath, or what happened. I would just like to know what happened.
I can see how that would happen. You have a new principal there for one thing, and McGrath was done prior to that, and so she would have her idea of how it should be unfolding.
We're still working on the job descriptions.
I would think
We're just
so.
getting to a point now where we can start bringing them here and say, you know, these are.
I would think they're
we need-
very
They're
dynamic.
approved, because none of the new ones in the transition have been approved by the board yet. And we've just found some that, you know, have been bouncing back to us that, oh, this isn't accurate or what have you. And this one here has been an issue for several years, that, you know, that this person who was in the position really was doing something different than what the job description for that position was. And now when Pam came in, you know, she needed some time to take a look at it and evaluate it and see what she wanted to do. And when that person retired, this person took it and took it with a cut in pay because it was a different classification. And so we said that, you know what, as we get through this, sometime around halftime of the year, we'll address this. And so it's halfway through the year, we've been working on this. Pam's had time to see exactly what she needs there. And so what the person's been doing and the new person is doing has remained the same, but the description has always been off, if that makes sense. And the categorization of it, because it's not a building or media aid, it's
It actually reflects now what she's doing
correct.
at the right pay rate. So she has been for quite a while.
Well, half a
doing-
year.
Half a year.
Half a year she
doing
has
it.
been.
Been in this position and not being paid correctly.
It depends on what they come back with. I mean, I don't know, because it's a new title. Can we at least have her weigh in and see, does this actually fit in with the other already established?
I'd like to approve it myself.
The email that we got about this position stated that this position has been going for several years. So the person who was doing it before this year was doing the same job.
As not a licensed teacher, as a para support.
Right, and so is this person a para?
Yes, but she has a teaching license, so she's doing some things that are at a higher level.
The person before had a teaching license as well.
I just know that what she's doing now is not at the level of what she has been getting paid. She should be at a higher level.
Okay, and I'm just talking about the job description. That the job what this person is doing this year is the same as what the person was doing last year.
You'd have to ask Pam Philippi that. Because Pam Philippi developed the job description.
So how are we as a board going to empower our administrators to do what we hire them to do if we keep second guessing all their recommendations? That's a concern of mine. It is a concern of mine.
I understand. This isn't about second guessing the administrator, in this regard. This is just trying to create consistency in the process that we've been talking about for a couple of years, instead of just winging it. And I've talked about this till I'm blue in the face many, many times, so. This is not about that in my view. Until we start being consistent in how we implement new jobs and hire people and go through all of this, we're just gonna keep running around in circles.
Well,
And
we
we'll
have a
be
motion,
picking
I think
winners
we
and
should have a
losers.
motion,
Yep,
even
we
just
do.
talking about it.
We did.
We do, you
Oh,
made the motion,
did.
I
Who
seconded it.
Okay.
So then let's take a roll call vote on this.
What exactly are we voting on?
Yeah.
Are we
To
voting on
approve.
the entire personnel update?
Correct.
Could we separate it out?
Dr. Bezick, what was your question?
I was just gonna make a comment here that, you know, I've been waiting for, you know, Victoria to send me back just if she's got any edits on it and what have you. And I would expect a couple tweaks to it, maybe not, but there may be, you know, again, so if you go ahead and approve it, you know, there may be, again, some minor tweaks. I think 95 to 100% of it will probably fly. You know, we submit things to her and she'll review them and send them back to us. And that, like I say, I don't expect a major change in it if you do go forward with it. If not, she should get back to me anytime, and, you know.
So I have a question. Each time we send something to Victoria, are we billed separately for that, or is that still included in that original? Because I thought we were gonna.
We're still in the piece with the job descriptions.
And
It just takes time.
Well, I thought at some point in time, we were going to be able to take care of starting to place our own.
Right, and.
At what point will that be?
Well, I think we're able to, we have enough information now where we can start categorizing ourselves. It makes it a lot easier for any refutal or rebuttal on it if we say so-and-so has done it. And, you know, our hands are off because she's done it, but again, it's like using a lawyer, and eventually we're gonna have to pay every time we do it. We're still in the soft stage with the review of these job descriptions.
Okay.
It's just, I never know how long it's gonna take her to get back to us.
Did you already send us what this would cost or something?
Yeah, that's all in that note that I sent you as far as what she was making, right, what her back would be, and that's putting her in a comparable position. And again, the only discrepancy I see is on job description, the education level that's stated in there. You know, I think maybe something that Victoria will say, if you do that, you might have to go to this level, and do you really need that for that position? So that's about the only thing I see that could be tweaked in there.
So your recommendation is to pull it off? I'm putting words in your mouth.
I can go either way with it. I just, you know, we need to do something with this person. If, you know, if we put it on for the next meeting, you know, I should have the answer from Victoria then it'll be clean.
Right.
But unless, you know, I think what Katie's saying is that it's a new position and should be discussed or evaluated by the board.
That was part
Because
of
we
our
do have,
policy.
whenever we.
That's part of our policy.
Whenever we have new positions, we do bring it, but again, this kind of falls in that area of.
Can we just have Pam shoot us an email on what that position is then, bring it to the next board meeting?
Well, everything I've conveyed to you is from Pam. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, there's not
I know,
anything
I'm just-
different from Pam you're gonna get, it's really from McGrath.
So we already have a motion on the table to approve it as is. That motion would have to fail, and then we could have a second motion made if that one would fail to pull out specifically that one, if that's the desire. So I'd like to take a roll call vote on the motion that's on the table, approving it with all of them, and see what happens there
No, I did
first.
make a motion,
Catherine and I did.
and then I did when it came
You-
time for discussion.
Yep, and so that's why it's being done separately. So you initially made a motion for the consent agenda excluding this one, and Catherine seconded that. And then we started on this one, and Catherine made the motion and I seconded it so that we could discuss it. So that's the motion I'm asking for a vote on. Your consent agenda one did get approved by majority. So Bruce, are you in support of approving the personnel update as it is presented?
Yes.
Katie, are
No.
you? Myself, yes. Catherine,
Yes.
and Lori.
No,
And a point of order, I did make a subsidiary motion, which becomes the main motion.
No, that's not how that works. It actually has to fail by a vote. If you had made the initial one, then you could make an amendment to it.
I did, that's what I did, Marie, I did.
Honey, unless I've got, we can go back through the video if you'd like.
That's okay.
Did I misunderstand who had it? Catherine made it and I seconded it.
And then I said I'd like to amend it.
But you can't amend them on a motion that we made. We would have to amend it.
Mark, can you give us an update then after you talk to McGrath? Just-
Yeah, we would like an
Oh,
update on
definitely,
that.
yeah.
Thanks.
So the motion had three in favor.
Because you're approving one
of-
job description and you're,
Right.
you'd be changing it, so.
So the general information, then we'll move on to item 8. General information A, the February meetings are the 4th and the 25th. So there must have been a reason we had it 3 weeks apart. Karen?
President's Day.
Thank you.
You're talking about January.
February.
And then the once around, and Lori, I got yours as the forecast 5, which I think sounds good. It competes, or compares, excuse me, with what we used to get through WIS tax, which is no longer. So I think it would be really good to be able to see that comparative and to do it computer-wise, because we used to have it in a book, would be really nice too. So I'd like us to learn more about that.
Dave's been using, he hasn't used all the modules of it yet, but it's got
Does it
tremendous
have to be
capabilities.
filtered through him, or could the board have access to it? We have only 5 licenses, so we'll have to figure out how we could better utilize that 4th and 5th license.
Let me see on
Potentially
that, because
utilize.
we used a model of schoolfinance.com, which is almost identical to this, and anyone could use it.
Okay. Even with only 5 licenses, does that?
As a matter of fact, you can give, more than one person can share a license.
That would make sense, if that's legal. Did they say how many? Is there a limit on it?
Oh,
I don't remember.
Dave knows the system, I'll have him report on it,
Okay.
just what the capabilities and how we wanna use it.
Sounds good. All right. Catherine, did you have anything for the once round? 8B?
Just my repeat policy for attending board meetings online.
Yeah, and I like that idea
Yeah,
too.
I talked to Stu about, both
There is
that,
one.
just talked to Stu this week about that and, what's the other one, board travel, so.
Yeah, those were my 2.
And so mine would be, we need to start adding the eye pressure policies back in there.
To work sessions,
Yes.
not board meetings. We should already have it all worked out before it comes to a board meeting. I'm not gonna sit here and rehash
Line by line.
line by line at a board meeting.
All right.
And a reasonable number, please.
Yes.
10.
Yeah.
So if you give us a rundown of how many we have that we should go to, then we will know exactly how many we need to put on each work session.
There's a lot.
All right. There was something else and I can't remember what it was, so I'll have to pass on that. I'll send out. Katie, what would you like?
Good.
You're good? Okay, Bruce?
Nothing.
All right. Thank you, guys. So if I could entertain a motion to adjourn
Make a
into
motion.
closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1985 1C. Is that okay with you, Bruce, making that motion? Is that-
Yes.
Okay. I'll second it so we can move into closed session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Or do I have to
You have to roll call.
Yep. Bruce?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Myself? Yes, I'm sorry. Catherine?
Yes.
And Lori?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move in.